to keep this lecture down to a half an hour today. Okay, I said I was going to go over the next part of the project. Unfortunately for me, I managed to totally corrupt the entire database that I had. Couldn't find it, had to rebuild it. A bunch of the stuff that I'd put in it on my own, it's all gone now, so I'm slowly rebuilding it, but I'll show you what I did. Again, I got this thing from Mike Wagman out on Facebook. If you don't know, he's taken a job at a place in Machesney Park, Illinois called Thai Comics, and he says where I am, in fact, he said he really likes it there. He's only been there a week, but he said where I am, they're hiring programmers. It's in Loves Park, Illinois. I like the environment and the people. They just landed about 6 months worth of work for their app development last week, and they're looking to add another body or two. So he tells you to go out here to careers, and I did. And once you do it, and you go out there, this is what they're looking for. All right, just to quickly go over it with you. The programmer position is responsible for troubleshooting problems with clients, training on new apps, assist in application implementation, develop and test custom software projects. Responsibilities, there's a lot of them. All right, so I'll let you look at that. I ran it off there, and I'm going to post it up there in just a minute. Okay, qualifications, etc. He said what they're basically looking for in there are two different things. Some of the stuff that they do in there, Mark will like this, but most of the rest of you won't. They just got a bunch of Joomla stuff. Now, the funny thing is the guy who gave it to them knows Joomla, but for some reason doesn't know HTML. Yeah, I don't get that either. But what he wants is for them to be doing some work on the surrounding HTML for the site. All right, so I don't know how much Joomla is involved, but that's one of the jobs. The other one, they're using C# and they're using Model View Controller, which you may or may not remember. That's one of the things I went over with you at the end of last semester in the ASP.NET class. We talked a little bit in the last 5 or 6 weeks about Model View Controller. Mike doesn't know much about Model View Controller. They know that. They're willing to pay, according to him, to get him certified, Microsoft certified in Model View Controller. So it sounds like it's a nice place to work. So again, I ran the thing off. The bottom line is, if you're interested, as it says, please submit your resume and earnings history in confidence to our Human Resources Department. If you don't know what an earnings history is, all right, depending on how many jobs you've had in the past, the first thing I'll tell you is it's much better to say negotiable, because they want to know how much money you've made in the past. All right, but typically if you lie or inflate, they have no problem calling the place and finding out whether or not you lied or inflated. But you've got to watch out also, and maybe I've told you about this before, I don't know, but years ago, my sister is an assistant district attorney out in Portage, Wisconsin. But before that, she was an assistant district attorney in Madison. Then she had a couple kids, so she took off. And when she came back, the job she was at wasn't there, and she loves where she is right now. But the point is, when she first graduated from law school and she started interviewing at firms, she learned real fast what not to say. The first firm she interviewed with was one in Milwaukee, and they asked her about her earnings history. And they said, well, she said, I'm negotiable. And they said, no, they kept pressing her and pressing her. Finally, she said, well, I clerked for this judge last year. And he said, well, how much did you make? She said $38,500. She didn't lie. She told him basically exact. That sounds like a fair wage. That's what we'll offer you. And her right away, as far as she was concerned, the interview was over, because that was when she had a year of school in. She got the second year in. She was certified to be a lawyer, and she was looking for at least double that, to be honest with you. All right? But what I'm saying is, don't be afraid to put in there, if you haven't had a lot of work history, you can put that down. All right? But all I'm saying is, if you want to put the amount in there, be at least, you can fudge a little, but don't fudge a lot. How's that? All right? My first job, when my first programming job, I literally made about $27,500. But when people ask how much did I make, I usually say 30. See what I'm saying? That's kind of within 10% or so. All right. So if you're interested in that, again, I've got that over there, and I'll run that off for you. Second thing, and this was just asked by Laura. All right. When you look at this was sent to the lab assistants. okay, and it was CC'd to me and all the other instructors. Lab assistants can work up to 25 hours next week if there are any projects or prep work to be done. The campus is open next week. So if students want open labs, feel free to schedule them. Now, that said, please don't tackle John when he comes in and say, hey, Jeff told us you're going to be in next week, and he doesn't know this yet unless he's read that email. All right? And I don't know, with the new lab assistant, they're planning on hiring somebody. I think I know who they're going to hire. I'm not going to say anymore because I'm not sure yet. I haven't been told. John can tell you because he's more in the loop on that than I am. All right? But that new lab assistant may work next week already too. I don't know. But all I'm saying is, if you guys said, hey, John, can you be here from 1 to 5, Monday through Friday, all right? And I'll be in there every day if you come in. Well, that's 20 hours, so yes, he can. Does he want to come in all those days, etc.? That's his call, all right? But as I said, you know, she's got it in the budget, so they can. That's the big part. All right. So that said, jump over here and show you what I've been working on, okay? Now, some of this stuff in here I've shown you already, but I'm not sure if everybody was here the other day or not. So what we're going to end up, I shouldn't say what we're going to end up building in here. What I'm building is I'm taking a project from one of these online classes that I'm taking and making modifications to it. All right? So what we've got in the project thus far, come on. Are 3 different pages. Again, this is pretty much taken right from what this class that I've been taking online, okay? And what we're going to have here after the break, I'm sorry we don't have it now, and I'll show you why in just a second, but I'm still working on this, where it says movie title over here. For instance, over here, where it's got logged in user's name, let's say it said here, Mike Lemon. Okay, so if it says Mike Lemon right there, then what we're going to have, so if right there where it says logged in user's name, if it says Mike Lemon, this is going to change right here, and this is going to have a list of all of the rest of you. All right? So if I want to go from Mike Lemon to Zach Heeg, I'll just choose Zach Heeg in here. And then he'll come up there, and Mike will move down here. Does that make sense? All right? So let's say it is Mike. So then what's going to show here are those 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 movies that Mike picked out as favorites. And it'll have just the name of them. It'll have the title. Okay? And if you want to, then you'll be able to click on the title and get all that information over here about that particular movie. If Mike says, oh, I didn't mean to pick that one, he'll be able to click on it, drag down, and there'll be a little wastebasket here. And as soon as he drags down, it'll be removed from here, and it'll be put over here. So right here are the list of his favorites, and right here are the list of the ones that aren't his favorites. Does that all make sense? And if you click on one of these, this will change, so it's got just the information about that favorite. So that's the first one that we talked about, okay? That's the index page, whoops. And there's 2 other pages in here also. There's an admin page. Doesn't look like much, all right? But again, you'll be able to come in here. You'll all have admin rights because it's not going to be set up. Well, if I have time, it'll be set up. You'll be able to log in. All right. But if you look in here, notice when I click, it changes color. And you'll be able to click in here. So if I say Albert Smith, click in here and type in insert, all right, then and hit enter, then Albert Smith will be put into the users. All right. In the same way in the movies. So what I did this morning was I came in and added another couple movies from that list of top 25. I added numbers 26, 27, and 28 also. But if you decided you didn't want those, you'd be able to click and manage movies, and it would show you the names of the movies. So if one of the ones here was It's a Wonderful Life, for example, and you clicked on the delete button and you hit enter, boom, it's gone. That type of an idea. All right. Then the last one, as I mentioned to you, when you come into the index, all right, and you click on one of these, not right now nothing happens, but what's going to happen when you click on that, if it's called single movie, I don't remember. Of course it's not called that. Good morning. I don't have many thoughts. That's true. There you go. So it's movie single. So again, when you go back to the index page, and you click one of these movie titles here, all right, what is going to happen then is that particular title will come up in here. You'll have a big picture of the image of the movie and that information that we provided. What information? Well, that's what I added today. All right. So if I just moved the stuff over literally right before class. But what's in there today are a couple things. So there's a part 2. The first thing is we're now going to have those sprites. They're not functional yet, but they will be, all right, when we come back. And in the images, these are the different sprites that we have. So again, that'll be the garbage can when it's empty. That'll be the garbage can when there's something in it. And some of these different things in here, a little avatar type of thing. So when you've got a user chosen, it'll show that. I'm not going to go to the extreme of finding avatars for each one of you. All right, I'm not going to do that. And if you choose something, you will have little signs here. If it's a favorite, it'll have a little heart next to it, etc. So you're going to have that. All right. The other thing that I did today, and again, this is, like I said, the thing was blowing up. So I went back and totally rebuilt everything. You've got, this is the entire database right here. All right, so it's the movies database. There's the moviegoers. There's all of you. I've got Mike Wegman in there. I've got likes no movies, which will choose none of them. Likes all movies, which will choose all 25. Here's the movies table with those top 25 movies of all time. So I had to re-input all that stuff in. It all works. I know that because I got rid of the database and added the database back in again. All right, and then we've got our favorites. So in other words, if, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, Mark is number 10. So the movies that Mark looks like he chose were numbers 2, 3, 20, 22, and 23. Does all that make sense? All right, we're going to use all that stuff up collectively. The only thing, like I said, I did go back and I added a couple files in here so that if you want, you're able to go in, because sometimes, let's face it, if you haven't looked at this stuff for a while, it is a little bit of out of sight, out of mind. So this 00, that's the movie database. 01, that's inserts. So that shows you how I inserted Singing in the Rain, It's a Wonderful Life, and Some Like It Hot into the database. All right, I can run those, but the thing is I already have them in my database. I ran them to make sure it worked. All right, so I'd put them in again, and now I'd have them in twice, which would be silly. All right, there's a couple select statements, so you remember how to use those. There's an update statement where I changed Sunset Boulevard, which was BLVD. I changed it to the word Boulevard just so I had some practice with that. Here's a subquery, so you could take a look at that. Now this last one, I'm going to recommend you don't run these because there are deletes in there. All right, especially don't run this one unless you really want to add the database back in again. That's up to you. You can do that if you want to. So you've got all that stuff. And the last thing that I'll show you here, because that's it. This is it for the lecture today. But the last thing is I'm coming in now and I'm rebuilding this using object orientation. So if you notice in here, we've got DB Connect equals an array, and it's an array of objects. There's a server object, there's a user object, there's a password object, and there's a name object. They're all part of an associative array. And then we create a brand new database object, a MySQLi object, using those. All right. Then we echo out the host information. We echo out the error numbers. Ideally, that error number is going to be 0 because there weren't any errors. All right. Then we attempt to connect. If we attempt to connect and we have more than 0 errors, we say that there was a connection error and we show what it is. Otherwise, we say that we connected successfully. So you'll notice that all I have in here right now, and again, sorry about that, but that's all that I have in here right now. So if we go in here to part 2, and I go in here to database, all right, and I go to connect, XApp running. It's right there. Yeah. And it does work. All I have to do is find the right connection string to it. That's all. So this is it right here. So it's part 2 database connect. Now they should, and it shouldn't come up as, there you go. So this shows me what my connection string is. It's localhost, and that's what you'd expect it to be because we're running from XApp. This shows the number of errors. It should be 0, all right? And we were able to successfully commit, or connect rather, so I showed you that. By the time you come back here, there's going to be a boatload more queries. We're going to go over on Tuesday of the week we come back, which is like the 10th, something like that. That Tuesday, we're going to go over a bunch of MySQL stuff. Thursday, we're going to finish up the MySQL stuff and get into talking about some jQuery. What we don't finish, then we'll finish the following week, and that'll finish this project up, which will give you about 6 or 7 weeks for you to have as literally lab time for you to concentrate on working on your projects. Remember, your write-up, your requirements write-up is due, all right? And Laura asked about this. I'm probably going to end up going to St. Louis tomorrow through Sunday. So I'm not going to get to this stuff till Monday or Tuesday. So if you get it to me by Monday, that's okay. Last thing is, if you haven't done so, please fill out course evaluations. The forms are back there. I'm going to give them to my boss before I leave today. Questions on anything? You're right. So the 17th, we'll be going over a bunch of queries, and we're going to look at basically intermingling this stuff that we've been looking at so far with MySQL. All right. What we don't finish on the 17th, we'll finish up on the 19th. If we finish it all up on the 17th, starting on the 19th, we're going to go into some jQuery. All right. Any other questions, comments? All right, because that's all that I had.